It's that time again for Everquest Next Into the Portal. Your hosts for this evening are Geekdomo, LockSixTime, and Zaphos. Let's get to the show right about now. There we go. A little bit of technical difficulties. We'll get it sorted. All right, everybody. So thanks a lot for joining us. This is EQNexus Into the Portal. And we're doing a EQNext live broadcast. Having a bit of technical difficulties with Locke tonight. His camera is sort of dead. So we're going to see his beautiful mugshot in the middle.
I'm glad that the viewers can't see the tears streaming down my face.
Yes, his tears of anguish. And we got myself, Locke, and Zaphos. Hey, Zaphos. Oh, Zaphos, your mic is muted. We had our mics muted so we could listen to the...
My lord.
There we go.
Yes. How's it going, guys?
There we go.
In a show plagued by technical difficulties, the professionalism of three men is stretched to the limit.
And now I hear
Those
that.
goddamn clockwork gnomes.
Got some echo going on. Check. I hear myself coming through Zaphos' speaker.
Hold on a sec.
Okay.
Oh man, episode 1 was so smooth.
It happens. This happens.
Just went.
Live TV, right?
Yep.
All right, we're good. Well, Zaphos is going to put on the headphones. Okay, cool. That is user error, legendary neurotoxin. All right, so as we get going on with our show, everybody, if you want to leave questions, please preface it with a bracket, question, end bracket, and then our chat imps will go through and pick out the good questions and give it to us later on for when we have our Q&A session at the end. All right, so what do you guys think of the Gamescom?
I had really mixed reactions to begin with. Like on the first day, where we started seeing the same presentation we saw at SOE Live again, I was kind of like, I was a little bit taken aback, to be honest. I was expecting, a lot of the same things, but not the same presentation. But then, once we started getting into the new stuff, I was a lot happier.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Zaphos? What was your first impression of the Gamescom event?
Yeah, I mean, I had the same immediate reaction. It's like, oh man, are these guys going to do this again? But at least, they noted it, and they were kind of like, hey, this is stuff that we've covered, and this is stuff we haven't covered. And so they started talking about it, and once I heard a few of the tidbits coming out, I thought, okay, I can see they're going to leak this out slowly over a very long period of time. Mm-hmm. But what little bit they did leak was really cool, and I thought there were some good interviews come out of it. I thought there was some good info. If you read between the lines, there's some really cool stuff. So overall, I'm looking forward to PAX.
Yeah, me too. It was a bit of a teaser, and I was planning, if you guys checked out some of my videos, I was planning on doing day-by-day coverage of talking about what was new released today, what they talk about tomorrow. So I started watching these videos in sequence, and I was just like, yes, look at this great information that came out on day 1. And then day 2, exactly the SOE Live presentation. And then I watched day 3 thinking, okay, maybe they'll be putting some new stuff out. Nothing. And I was just like, okay, really.
Well, it was weird, wasn't it? We were all kind of geared up for this presentation, but then what actually happened, I think, was you got all the good information. They did the what's it called? They did the roundtable discussion video, which I thought was really great, and they kind of snuck that in just before. And then you had the video discussions with David Georgeson and Omid. I forget his surname. Oh God, I'm terrible. And those were some great insights into what they're thinking about the game as it goes on. And then other interviews like the Italian one, MMORPG Italia, I think it was. That was a cracking interview. Some really good questions. And it's nice to hear less. We can't talk about that yet, and more. This is what we're talking about.
Yes,
so yeah,
exactly.
Stuff and things. We did get to hear a lot. It was just the way that it was delivered wasn't what we were expecting, I think.
So we're going to go through tonight and talk about some of the things they did mention on the first day that they mentioned the good stuff, And so we'll go into that a little bit as we get going here. But my overall impression was they still are kind of under lock and key, and they couldn't present much more than the basics that they already mentioned. Probably because there's some sort of marketing thing going on, maybe some legal thing that they can't. And also, Georgian did say, we aren't going to talk about all of this stuff at once, because if we did, it would blow your minds and you wouldn't be able to get your head wrapped around it. And I appreciate that, because trying to get, even to understand how the tier system works, which we could talk about later, how even understand that much of it, I was like, I don't get this. And so if they had just dumped everything on us at the first go, we would blow up Reddit.
Yeah, I said that today. Reddit would explode. Can you imagine?
Yep.
Well, it's good. It's the PR machine, isn't it? You know, they wanna ramp it up. They wanna, you know, get the groundswell going, get the early adopters on board. You know, people like us and all the wonderful people in chat at the moment. And you know, then as it starts going forward, ramping up, you know, they need things to say, like coming up to release, don't they? They need to go, wow, look at this amazing shiny thing, and everyone goes, ooh, shiny, move towards the light. and then we all sell our souls to Sony Online, which I believe is their new business model.
Exactly. Like on Christmas Day, you just don't go into the room and all the presents are already open, right? It's the anticipation of opening the next one, and what's this next one going to have in it? And so, yeah, I think that's kind of what they're doing. They're giving us these little tiny bits and saying, what do you think of this? Do you like it? Do you hate it? And then, we'll throw that one away. Okay, they really hate that. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think they're really changing the game too much at this point, but maybe.
Well, we're already into the Reddit cycle as well, which is brilliant. Like after SOE Live, like everyone on Reddit was just screaming and crying, and it was all like, "Sky is falling. This is going to be terrible. I can't believe we waited for so long for this nonsense." And then over the next couple of weeks, everyone kind of calmed down, and they were like, "Oh well, what, you know, no Trinity, like more MOBA themed combat. That sounds really interesting." And then Gamescom hits, and everyone's like, "Oh God, it's all falling apart.
Yep.
Why?" So you know. Maybe, hopefully people will have time to digest all of this new stuff by Friday, and then we can repeat the whole cycle after PAX.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that they're doing a pretty good job of sort of eking out the information a little bit at a time, but I want more, you know? I mean, I'm ready. My body is willing, right? I mean, how can I build a brick empire without the necessary pre-planning? And I can't plan if I don't have information, right? So I need to learn a little bit more about that. I would like some more information. I mean, I'm especially nervous, I suppose, because I'm expecting that we're going to have Everquest Next Landmark in this year. So if we're going to have it in this year, we're about to hit September, and that doesn't leave too many months in order to really be having thousands of people descend upon an actual functional, you know, let's even call it a beta. So that's what I'm looking for from PAX, is some kind of confirmation that, hey guys, we're actually on track to get Landmark into your hands in this calendar year.
Oh, so well, you know, that's what John Smedley said at SOE Live, wasn't it? This year, it's going to be up. So I agree completely. Though they've really got to. Well, I mean, I say this, but I would imagine it would seem strange to me if they didn't start kind of ramping up the promotion and trying to get, you know, more people on board for Landmark, because that's going to be such a huge, you know, going to be such a huge thing to sell Everquest Next to a larger audience. I think if you release a game and you say this is a sandbox MMO, you're turning a lot of people off straight away. Whereas when you release Landmark, you go, look, it's Minecraft but pretty. And you know, I can imagine a lot of people are going to be jumping on board that. You know, I'd play Landmark just for the builder. I'd definitely give it a shot. So I think they're going to have to start ramping that up soon. Absolutely. If they're going to get people on board.
And frankly, I've got to find something to do other than playing Minecraft, because you know, it's how many cows can you kill? You know, how many chickens can you cull? I mean, I was playing Minecraft tonight. I just went through a whole culling. You know. Believe it or not, cows can set off pressure plates. I discovered this the hard way when I logged into a house full of cows. Okay, so man, you know, we got to sort that right out, and I got to get something else to do. I ain't selling no bricks to nobody in Minecraft, so you know, Player Studio for the win. I want to see that Player Studio in action, and you know, between the Player Studio studio infrastructure, you know, between getting Landmark out, you know, I'd love to see a timeline. You know, we've heard about this open development, and not that I want to rag on the devs because they're doing an awesome job and they're just such happy, shiny people. I want to, you know, just be happy for them. But I would love to see a roadmap in the spirit of developing with the community. I'd love to see that roadmap of, hey guys, you know, we're going to publish a roadmap. Here's when you're going to see the beta for Landmark. Here's when you're going to see Landmark. Here's what we're going to do with Landmark over the next 24 months. Here's when you're going to see EverQuest Next Next beta, you know, and so forth and so on. So I'd love to see that roadmap, a little bit similar to what they've done with PlanetSide 2, I think, you know, in that open development kind of spirit, right?
Mm-hmm. Can we take 1 5-second break? There's apparently everyone's saying the stream is almost frozen, so I'm gonna restart it real quick. We'll be right back.
I'll miss you all.
All right, let's try this again. I hear Zaphos typing. All right, are we good? Tell us how it looks now, folks. Is it better? Sorry about that. I didn't realize it had frozen up. It looked fine on my end, so I didn't realize. Okay, looks good. Sounds good. Great. Okay, let's get back onto the show. All right, so basically, Gamescom was a bit of a flop in some regards. I thought it was, some good information, but it was given out on day one, and then we were kind of like, eh. I mean, that's why they're also stretching out the release of all the other information. So it's a voxel. It's a voxel stream now.
I did just have a thought actually. Do you know what I think it is? There was loads and loads of talk, and you know, we talked about great things and everything. But I think people were expecting to see another race, or they were expecting to see maybe some more like combat things, a new area, you know, flyovers and stuff, and the you know, all the videos of the building and everything, the time-lapse ones. It was amazing to see like what you can achieve in such a short space of time. But it was the same character models doing it in the same areas, actually building things that I think we've seen before as well. So
right.
I think if they just had a little bit more, you know, a little bit more to look at, maybe people would have been a bit happier early on.
No, they're still saying it's freezing. Huh. Oh, I can't stream this way. I wonder if it's Twitch, because I'm looking at my end. It looks okay, but of course I'm hosting, so.
It looks like it's me.
I actually don't see it freezing. It looks, you know, fine to me.
Okay. Well, we could soldier on. We'll soldier on. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Half the people are saying it looks okay. Okay. So we'll go. We'll keep going.
Okay, the rest of you just need to get new internet, okay? Like, I can give you...
Don't go down that road.
I can give you like 3 different companies. What country are you in, you know, first of all? You know.
Start making fun of people's internet, they're going to get all worked up. All right, so let's go on to our next topic, which is, what are the differences between a sandbox game and a theme park game, and is EQN a sand park? So what do you think? Go shoot. You got it first, Lock. You go for it.
Cool. The differences between a sandbox and a theme park. I guess like the biggest thing for me is like in a sandbox, players are expected to set their own goals, and players are given mechanics within the game to achieve a broad range of things, or to achieve a very broad range of play styles that all have to work together. So the players that you are with become the content. Whereas in a theme park, it's very much about, you know, there's the boss at the top of the hill, so climb the hill, fight the boss, you know, go back down again and do it again tomorrow. And I think the thing that will make EverQuest Next a sandbox for me would be if we have that kind of level of different players. You know, one thing that was talked about this weekend was more like social classes, things that we've seen before in Star Wars Galaxies, like dancers and musicians. Because of the multi-classing system, you know, everyone's going to be able to do that. They've said that to be a crafter, you don't have to get involved in combat at all if you don't want to. You know, we've talked about the way that the world's being built and so on and so forth. And I think it comes down to how players are going to interact with each other. And they've said one thing David Georgeson said that I tweeted immediately after he said it in the first presentation was, we never, never, never want you to have the same experience twice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that for me is, you know, that basically means it can't really be a theme park, can it? Because you can't keep turning up and knocking on the same door, you know, week after week. And, you know, if you're not having the same thing answer, then that's not a theme park, is it? That's an emergent experience where you have to go out and find. You have to actually go out and find, you know, what it is that you're going to do and set your own goals.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of words. I just said.
People like your mugshot. Zaphos, what do you think?
If I were a dev creating a sandbox game, the tagline would be, we give you the tools to play the game your way. That's the very simple terms of what a sandbox is. I've been playing sandbox games a very long time, going all the way back to a little bit before Ultima Online. And, you know, a true sandbox game gives you the tools to play the game your way. You want to be a crafter, you can rock out a crafter. You want to be a stealthy rogue in a hooded, you know, cloak, sneaking around, you know, spying and stealing and killing, that's your bag, go for it. You want to be a, you know, summoning mage, you go for it. You want to ride ponies around the world and discover things that nobody else has seen, tell stories about it later, go for it. It's all about the tools. The more tools you have, the more sandboxy it becomes. I think in a modern MMO, the current player base has been kind of tuned to expect some kind of linear element. I think it's good to have that. I think it's good to say, take a rallying call and use that as a hook to kind of teach players how to play the game, but then set them loose and let them discover it. Or if they're an advanced player who's already played the game and maybe rolling an alt or are very familiar with sandbox games, let them go and do their own thing. And I think we've heard that that's part of the plan. So I think that's all good stuff. I think overall for me, a sandbox is about having tools. So if, for example, I can go out, head in netherly direction and choose to do whatever I want and ignore the rest of the universe, then that's what I can do. Can I build a house over there and then there are hills and find gold and great things? You know, that's important. It's about deciding what you want to do with your time and how you want to do it. That's really what it's all about. You know, it gets rid of concepts like end game and roles, and it gets rid of a lot of what I would call cliches in modern MMO games, and gives the power back to the player to craft a world that they're excited to be about. When people always ask me, why don't you like quests, Zaphos, right? Because I hate quests, right? Mm-hmm. Quests are the bane of my existence, right? I really, literally, passionately hate them, right? And what I mean by that is, don't give me a quest where I have to go do something because, you know, go kill 10 rats, right? The old cliche. Now we have a cliched gaming term. What I want to do is, I want to tell my story. I don't want the story to be told to me. I don't want to be a sort of unwitting player in somebody else's story. I want to be the story itself. Right. I want the Zaphos story. And when you can play the Zaphos story, or the Lock story, or the Geekdomo story, then you've got a sandbox.
Are you a big Eve player?
I played Eve for a while. I got scammed in Eve. I did some scamming in Eve. I took part in some major historical battles, mm-hmm. and that's a little bit like EQNext, right? Because we're gonna, you know, those can never take place again. They've come, they've gone, and they're part of the history books now. And that's what's exciting about Sandbox. They were created by players.
Yeah, they were totally thought up. Like, we want to scam this guy. We're going to figure out a way to steal his ship or whatever they scam they came up with. And they made it up themselves. There was no NPCs that they had to interact with. They just did it, and there it is in the history books. And it made it to, like, Time Magazine and all these other places that talk about a video game. It's probably the most successful MMO to date, I think, that's been pure sandbox. Now,
yeah, with the exception of maybe Ultima Online, I think back in the day, you know, Lord British set the tone, you know, and he still continues to do some pretty cool stuff, Richard Garriott. But I think there's some really cool things that you can do. EVE Online is a good example of some of what's possible, but it has flaws, right? Mm-hmm. And let me just ramble for a second here,
okay?
Because God knows I never ramble.
Never ever. Go ahead. Ramble.
You know. What needs to happen, though, is why does EVE Online not have millions of players? Because the barrier to entry is too high, and there's not just enough of the theme park to bring people into the game and teach them how to play and teach them the tools. So you need to have some kind of ability to teach players the tools before setting them loose in the world to go out and make their own game. You know, even in Minecraft, you sometimes get players sort of saying, "Why am I playing this? You know, I've got a bunch of diamond and ore, and I built a house. What else the heck am I going to do?" And it's teaching players what tools exist and doing that in an immersive way that makes progression sense, that makes, you know, achievement sense, that gives the players a sense of game equity. And game equity is something we haven't talked about. I won't go into it right now, but having game equity, you know, equity in your game, that's something that's really important.
I just want to go back to the whole "you owe Lord British" thing just for a second. One of the most classic ever things that's happened in a video game, it's been on the top 10 list of the best things that have ever happened in video games, is the players killing Lord British on the day he comes out to announce some big part of Ultima Online. Do you remember that, Zaphos?
I do. I was involved in the game at that period of time. And I do remember back in the day when the devs would take shape as dragons and all sorts of beasties and monsters and would, you know, participate in the game world. And it was amazing, you know, and when we knew Lord British might come out, you know, that was amazing. You know, just that dev interaction, because they're leveraging the tools from the developer side to make the player experience more meaningful. And just like you mentioned, Domo, players will never forget that. Right. And, you know, that's a great thing.
Now all devs, when they come out, are invincible mode because
right.
of what happened to
Whenever in Ultima Online, when you would submit a GM ticket, right, and you'd be standing around in the universe, in the game universe, literally this entity would, you know, appear before you with no face in this hooded cloak and look like a ghost. And they would talk to you in game and actually solve your problem as an entity in the game. Those days are long gone, and those days should be brought back.
Well, some of the people who watch my videos know I used to be a guide for Everquest, the original Everquest on Irolosi Mar. Sorry, I'm really bad with names, as you know. And yeah, I would literally show up. My character was a troll. No, what was I? No, it was an ogre. And I'd show up, land right in front of them. I had little glowy swords, and I could pull people out. And I was completely working for free from Sony and doing the guide program. It was fun. It was a way to interact with the people. All right, so yeah. What about?
I do have one more thing to say about.
I wasn't going to skip off yet. I was actually going to talk about the Sand Park, which is a combination between the two. But go ahead, Locke.
I think it's something that I noticed people talking about in chat, that the open world PvP aspect of a sandbox turning players off playing a game. Now, to me, like when Zaphos was talking about EVE Online and people not getting into it, I think, you know, I think the learning curve is very high for EVE, but I think people would be more likely to stick with it if the actual gameplay was more engaging than it is. I find that was actually the thing that put me off EVE. Like, I really liked learning all the systems, and I loved like the huge world and do what you want. But then after a while of just, you know, doing the gate jumps and everything's very passive, and you could almost like alt tab out and, you know, be doing something else while playing EVE. That's, you know, I like to be really super focused and engaged in a game. So if I could play a game with a combat system like Guild Wars 2, but with depth and mechanics like EVE, then, you know, that's GG, see you later world. You know, I'm gonna stay there for a while. But, you know, is that something that has to happen in Everquest Next? Do we have to have open world PvP for it to really be a sandbox?
So let me talk to that, because this is something I'm pretty passionate about, right? And what I don't understand is why game developers today, like take Darkfall Unholy Wars, or take some of these other games like EVE, why they equate sandbox with complexity, brutality, hardcore, full loot PvP. I mean, there is absolutely no compelling design reason why those things have to be coupled with a sandbox environment. And that's what's missing from the game world today. That's what we have not seen. Almost no company in existence has been able to create a sandbox experience that doesn't involve very punishing, difficult to adjust to, high learning curve systems that most players don't like. It's become a hardcore system, and that's not fair. What we need to see, and what I would like to see if I were designing a game, is a game that is casually accessible, hardcore friendly, but at the same time is still a sandbox. And that's what we haven't seen to date. I think EQNext can do it. The question is, will they?
I believe they're setting themselves up to do exactly just that. the whole system is built around the sandbox element being the main focus. So in Landmark, for example, you're just going to be able to run out, build anywhere you want, or stake a claim, and just build on it. And that's it's a game in itself. But then you're going to be able to do that in EverQuest Next, but necessarily won't be able to bring those elements you made over. But you can still set things up in Landmark and then go over to EQNext, do your quests if you want, do your rallying calls, and then go back to Landmark lands and do that kind of stuff over there.
Good times.
Yeah,
oh, I have a segue.
You have a segue?
Yeah, talking about the sand park.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a total theme park and everything, but I played Lord of the Rings online for about 2 hours when I was bored one day after it went free. I think it's really cool. I haven't got a problem with it or anything. It just, I just logged in to have a look. But the only thing I did in that game was I was a dwarf, like minstrel or bard or something, and all I did was hang around in the starter city with all the other new free-to-play people coming in, and I wanted people to confuse me with an NPC that was there to like help guide them in the game.
Right.
So I just went around like as if talking to people as if I was an NPC, and that kind of, I mean, it's role play really, but I think it was, that was some of the most fun I've had in an MMO, like just existing within this town and helping people with things and not following any sort of quest line at all. Anyway, that's my little segue into.
You want to be a hermit in the woods somewhere, passing out toothpicks or something like that to random people walking by.
Yeah, how awesome would that be though? Like if you could be like some sort of super crafter that you could make something amazing, but then you decided you wanted to live halfway up a mountain somewhere.
Yes, yeah.
Or if people wanted to come out and visit the hermit to get the gems. Why does he live up the mountain? Because he's an asshole.
Right. And he put a whole bunch of like alligators or something like that on the way up, so you had to like fight your way up the mountain to get to him. And then when you're up there, he makes you jump on one leg and sing a song before he sells you the item because he's a lunatic.
So I'll tell you a story. This is a story. This is a Zaphos story, right? So this is Zaphos. After I had gone through my crafting phase, and crafting had given me great mighty strength. I had the strength of 20 small men. And then I went out into the universe and I decided I'm done with crafting. I've sold all the bricks I want to sell. I'm going to decide to do something more adventurous now. I want to be a warrior. So I took all that great strength and I became a warrior. And I went out into the world and I warriored my way around the world. I killed many an innocent. I pillaged. I murdered. I took what I wanted. And then eventually I saw the light and I saw the error of my ways. Mm-hmm. And at that point, on the same character, I decided that I needed to go off into the wilderness and explore the realm of magic. So I went into the wilderness with my deed in pocket and I found a spot that was mine. I placed my house. And from there I spent many months learning how to summon water elementals. And I summoned them perfectly until I was a master, until I could do it flawlessly. Mm-hmm. And I went off exploring around where the house was and all this kind of stuff. And I remember the day I was walking with my elemental, and I discovered an ogre lord just walking in the forest. And it was one of the most scary, amazing experiences in Ultima Online. I'd never seen an ogre lord before. I'd never seen one just walking around. I didn't know if I could kill it. I didn't know if it would kill me. I was a master, but maybe it was stronger. I had no idea. And it was very, very exciting. That is the kind of chronology of your character that I want to see in EverQuest Next. I want to see the ability to have many different roles, to have many different identities, and to be able to craft the kind of character that you want to craft, but yet have all your previous iterations have meaning and value towards what it is you end up being.
And that is your story. Cool. That is not the story that every single other person did, because that's the way a theme park works. Where
that's my story.
Exactly.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. A theme park, you're going to follow the same quest line that this guy followed, that guy followed, that guy followed. Every single one of you are the same character, except you're a different class and different race, maybe. Other than that, it's exactly the same. But Sand Park, it can be open like that. It can be completely your thing. What you want to do, you want to be Captain Stinky and sit in a cave somewhere on the top of a mountain and yell at people randomly as they run by?
Yep.
That's your prerogative. That's the way you're playing your game. And you're enjoying the crap out of it while you're doing it. So,
you know what it is? It's putting the RPG in the MMO. Like what? So many of these MMOs come out, and there's no role playing to it because there's no decision making about what kind of role you want to play, what kind of person you want to be in the universe. Like Zaphos' story, that's just Zaphos. Like I'd find it, incredibly hard to believe that anyone had that same experience as him. Is that that was his choice?
Yeah.
I doubt there's many people that spent 100% of their time playing Lord of the Rings online, pretending to be an NPC.
Exactly,
It's
and maybe
those kind of urgent things.
yes,
and maybe one day. Sorry, I was just gonna say, and maybe one day I'll tell you the story about the time me and some friends went out on a boat and we met water elementals and we fought. Maybe I'll tell another story of the time we went to the dungeons and we fought Balrogs and were invaded by other enemy players. There's so many stories, and I think it's what you guys are hitting on right now is that it's every person at every moment in that game world is experiencing their story, and that's the true nature of a sandbox.
And you never did it to get your daily tokens towards your next piece of epic gear either, did you?
Or you didn't have to play every single week to get the bosses down so you could go in and try to get that same piece of loot over and over and over again and hope it would drop. Yeah, it's none of that stuff. They've been entertaining ourselves while we were away. Very nice.
That's good.
Very nice. Okay, the stream looks a lot better.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Oh man!
Oh,
I saw that Midian comment.
very
That's
nice.
that's to it.
Oh
Man, who is this Midian character?
I don't know. Let's kick him out of the chat. Crazy. All right, so the fuzziness is gone. All right, I think I figured out what the problem was. All right, moving on to the next.
Finally, I look like I'm not from 1984. Yes.
I still do though. All right, let's move on to our next one: mounts and quick travel parkour ponies.
Nice. I like it.
So, what do you guys think? This was the big announcement that just everyone was going, we're gonna have mounts. What do you think?
Well, I was surprised that mounts were in, but I think that was because we saw like the parkour system and the items that affected movement. I kind of assumed that was because they were going no mounts. But yeah, mounts is cool. I'm happy with that. And I think the big thing for me that I've been thinking about it is, they've said like for Landmark definitely that if they want to, they can make the world pretty much infinite because it's procedurally generated. So I think a world like that without quick travel would be pretty grueling. Like, I mean, Domo, I know you've played Cube World. I don't know about you, Zaphos, but just the sheer distances between but the sheer distances between towns in that game, that's like,
I love it.
That's a long journey for for someone with a full-time job. If they just want to travel, to a different city, or just meet up with people. I think you need to have some sort of fast travel. And if the world is on that scale, like if it only ever takes 10 minutes to get from one place to another place, then obviously. But we don't know.
I'm kind of hoping that the mounts will be somehow crippled in a way, like they're just mildly faster than walking, but they got a limp or something like that.
A two-legged horse.
Yeah, two-legged horse.
You gotta hope you're not unlucky and get one with two front legs. Just dragging itself along.
And it's like, yeah, we got mounts, but they're really bad, and they sort of like fall over every time I stop, or I gotta feed it a ton of food to keep it walking. Something where it's just like, okay, we got mounts, but they're just a little bit not so OP, not 100 or 310 fly speed and shit that they have.
Yeah. Oh man, I got the elephant mount, but it's the one with the wheels. as soon as it falls over once, it's useless.
Or if I get going down a hill, I can't stop. Yeah, go ahead, Zaphos. What were you going to say about the mounts? I interrupted you.
Okay, so we got to come back to Sandpark and the ability to appeal to casual players, plus the ability to respect the time of players. Over the last 20 years of gaming, players' time has become much more important, much more something to be respected by developers. And I think that's really, really important, especially for an audience that EverQuest has. And I think that if you think back to EQ1, for those that played EQ1 or other games that are similar, where you camped a monster for 7 freaking days. you know, I remember setting up alarms and having stuff going off. I mean, I camped some hardcore stuff for my Monk Epic in EQ1. And I mean, I camped some stuff with other buddies for Druid Epics. I've been through the ringer on EQ1 camping mobs, and that's just not something that the average person can do. They just can't do it. And sometimes that's okay. But in the case of travel, you've got to bridge that gap between what was okay 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 20 years ago, what's not okay now. It's just not okay now to expect people to run everywhere. They just won't tolerate it. And in a game that's procedurally generated, where you can have essentially an infinite map, you're looking at a different paradigm. It's a completely different paradigm. It's a paradigm that says, hey, you might think it was fun to run that way for the first 20 minutes, but an hour in, you're hating life, you know? And so, I mean, I think at that point, the days of running 20 minutes to find Crushbone and then getting to Crushbone and waiting 20 minutes to get a slot in a group, those days have got to go. People don't have the patience for that anymore. Yeah, and if you want to appeal to more than 250,000 people, you're going to have to get rid of that. And the way to get rid of that and still maintain the sandbox is to make sure that you have things that aren't game breaking. Things like flying mounts that bypass everything, 320% run speed or whatever. You know, those things are probably a little bit excessive, but having a mount that helps you get to where you want to go to find Mithril, that's probably something that's useful. You know, there's a number of ways it could be made more functional. Maybe you ride it there and you load it up with stuff and you got to walk it back. I don't know. But I mean, I don't think mounts is going to break the sandbox. I think it's a good way to bridge the gap between people who have been used to theme parks and people who've been used to the likes of EQ1 or Ultima Online, where certain things took days. It goes back to my comment previously that just because the sandbox doesn't mean that you have to craft the horse's shoes and then fit them to the horse at a blacksmith and then go farm wheat and make it into hay or whatever and bring the hay in your satchel that only has 4 spaces. You know, you don't have to be in pain in order to have a sandbox, and it's part of that.
Yeah, the other day, just for fun, I went back and played EverQuest 1, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do a little bit of nostalgia here, and I streamed it, and I was in, what was it, Neriak, trying to get out. And I couldn't get the heck out of Neriak, and I was like, I used to know this by the back of my hand. And then finally I got out, and I just ended up killing a guard so it would send me outside. And then I finally got out, and I was like, oh, screw this. So afterwards, after I did my stream, yeah, some people who watched this, they said I failed really badly. 30 minutes trying to get out of Neriak. And then so I
can't believe I missed it.
Yeah, I got off the stream, I'm like, I don't want to do this in front of people because I'm so embarrassed that I used to like know this game. I was a guide, for God's sake. And I went over and I started a new troll character. And I decided I wanted to run from the troll starting area to Freeport. And about 45 minutes in, I was like, okay, why the heck am I doing this? This is so terrible. I died, and I would die again, and then I would like, which way am I supposed to go? And I'd like, maybe I get the zone wall on my left, or I got to get it on my right. I couldn't remember where the doors were, the holes in the wall, all that stuff. Yeah, so I totally agree with you. It's nostalgia that we look back on and go, oh, this was fun. This was like the adventure of running from here to there. And then, but actually, when you get in, you do it now, comparing it to like being on World of Warcraft, where you have 310 speed flying mounts. You know, running for an hour and 45 minutes to die, repeatedly lose all your gear and all that other crap is just not fun anymore, I don't think.
No.
You know what I'd really like to see with mounts? I'd like to see mount skills, and I'd like to, in the same way that they're doing classes where there's always strengths and weaknesses, I'd like to see a nice variety of mounts. So you have like, you know, you can have like a racing horse, which is really fast over like short distances or something, and but then you can have like a pig mount that's like not even much quicker than running, but it can, you know, smell out truffles, and you get to ride a pig. So
I want a truffle pig.
So no joke. I just got to tell you.
I think something like that. You know, mount skills and making it a variety and
exactly.
creating even more like opportunity cost when it comes to mounts. It's not just, you know, if you sit on something with, you know, with 4 legs or whatever. You know, if you're sitting on something, you move this much faster. It's like if you choose to ride this particular thing, you get these bonuses and, you know, these debuffs or whatever as well.
It started out that way in World of Warcraft, though, and then the first mounts that they had there weren't so bad. You know, they were only mildly faster, and they cost a ton of money, 100 gold. to get one.
Yep.
And then you went to Zolgrub and you had to do the quest to get the carrot on a stick, which gave you like 2% more running speed,
Yeah.
And that was like a big deal. And I hope that EverQuest kind of sticks with that. Like if they're going to start out that way, don't in the 2 or 3 years time give us these incredibly fast travel methods.
Yeah, go Warcraft on it, like the end of an Oprah show where it's like, you get a mount and you get a mount
and you get a flying car.
Congratulations,
yeah, no, I think so.
You earned it.
So like, I think for me, like when I think back to Ultima Online again, I'm going to reference this a lot. It's one of the greatest sandbox games. I remember when I was first starting out my career as a miner, and I was going to mine ore so that I could go into town and peddle my wares at the blacksmith shop. And I remember hiding in brush and mines and darkness to avoid the PKers, player killers. And but I remember when I made my way back to town, my great companion was a donkey. Because a pack donkey could carry all this ore that I couldn't carry.
Right.
And it became something that was really valuable. It was actually something really important in the game. It was incredibly valuable because that was all part of the player-driven economy, was the ability to bring all that stuff back to town and peddle it after smelting it and all that good stuff, right? And what I'd like to see EverQuest Next do is sort of facilitate that kind of player economy where you have mounts or other devices that give you the ability to carry maybe things you couldn't ordinarily carry, like pack mounts and things like that. So I really like that idea. I like Locke's idea a lot of having different types of mounts that do different things. Mm-hmm. I think that's cool. There probably should be some kind of general mount, and I agree that it shouldn't go crazy fast. I agree that it should have some kind of price tag associated with it. There should be some balance in that whole thing. But, I think it makes sense a lot. I really like the idea. I think it's going to be fine. As for the parkour stuff, right, how does this fit with the fact that we can have Zephyr boots that fly a little bit and we jump really far? I think there should be tiers of development. I don't think a new player in EQNext should be able to just jump on a mount. I think that's something that should be earned, and by the sounds of things, the game is setting itself up that way. I think as you get to the higher tiers of the game, you should be able to earn a mount and earn different kinds of mounts. But at the start, I think you should really leverage your racial abilities, and I would love to see some racial abilities that are specifically like a Karen can run faster. Maybe that could be cool. Mm-hmm. There's pros and cons to that. I'm not opposed to having everybody have equal run speed, but parkour ponies, I don't think we're going to see too much of that. But again, if you played Cube World and you've tried to run across the world, as Locke said, from town to town, which I have, you're going to be goddamn thankful you're riding a turtle.
Yeah, exactly. Just to clarify, some people were saying in chat, what's parkour? Parkour is where people, you'll see them on the street, they jump from building to building, and in this game you'll be able to do that too. You're going to be able to jump from canyon cliff to canyon cliff without falling and dying. And that was one of the questions somebody actually put into one of my question mailbags was, are we going to take falling damage? It looks like you can jump really far and you can fall pretty far, and I didn't see anybody like automatically just dying from jumping.
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I was playing. Go ahead, Locke.
Sorry, I wanted to make a point about earning the mounts, and it's something I've been thinking more and more about sandbox games. And it's a real Eve thing that you have these, and as well as like dropping new players in rallying calls, you have these kind of, you have these like little centers of population. It's like the White Hot, loads and loads of players. It's all really safe. Player killing is heavily, heavily discouraged, and laws matter. And then you go further and further out from that. And, you go from that kind of white-hot center of civilization out into the darkness beyond, and you go further and further away. So, it's the people that are going to be seeking out the greatest challenges that are going to be traveling the furthest distance in the first place. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, it should be, you have a mount because you need the mount to go far away and come back again in a reasonable amount of time. It shouldn't be the case that, someone who's decided that they want to like stick around towns and stuff, they don't need a mount. They're not going anywhere.
Well, they do it for that, but that is also a way that keeps people interested in the game, because you stand around town and this amazing mount that glows in the dark and has fire shooting out of its butt. You're like, wow, where'd you get that thing?
Bad.
And then it's either you earned it really, or you paid for it on the store at Blizzard. You know, you could buy those amazingly awesome mounts, and you could.
Well, you know, that's why you pay you pay a subscription based game, isn't it? So you get all the content for free. Ooh, ZeniMax.
All right,
So
we gotta move on because we've actually been doing this over an hour already, and we gotta wrap up our questions. So
let me tell you one real quick thing. Let me tell you one quick thing. I think that what was really something that was really cool about EQ1 was the ability to create a travel economy. So, for example, druids could port people around and give them, SOW, Spirit of the Wolf, to run faster, and people would give them donations, and it was an actual way that druids made money in the game.
Of money.
And it was a great thing, the ability to port players. Now, I know from what we've seen so far, where it looks like we're going to have these, Nexus rings, in Everquest Next to easily jump. I think I heard the devs say you're going to be able to jump from place to place.
They did.
I have mixed feelings about that. I think in a procedural world that makes a lot of sense. But maybe there's some way they can integrate some kind of player economy into these skills. I think that in a sandbox game, you've always got to look for ways to integrate the player economy into every kind of convenience, farmable item, buildable project, anything like that. You've always got to find a way to build it into the player economy, and travel is one of those areas.
Here's how you do it. I figured out how you do it. Here's what you do. You make it to where you can use the wizard spires every 30 minutes, or if there's a druid that happens to be staying there, he can send you anywhere around the world, and that way there's no cooldown, and you get to go where you need to go, and then the druid can make his money too. So,
yeah,
I think the best option it should. I think in an effective sandbox game, your best option should always be to find another player. If you need to do something, if you need something that you can't immediately do yourself, your best option should always be find another player. For me personally, I prefer the two-legged glow-in-the-dark horse.
They're saying they say you were talking about a chocobo.
Yeah, Zaphos is absolutely right. Just integrate it into the player economy, and
Yep, I agree.
Work.
All right, let's move on.
2 questions.
Let's go on to not to the question. We got a couple more topics. We'll get to that.
Oh man, we got some good questions.
Do we have to do like one-word answers on the next?
Yes. Okay. Next topic. Go. Rapid fire topic. Can you become a real estate tycoon? That and in-game and out-of-game economies. Go. Lock.
Yes.
Oh,
next.
Man.
Yes.
Next. Okay, I gotta talk about this.
Yeah, go ahead, Zaphos. I have some stuff to say too, so go ahead.
Bricks, man.
Right? Oh, yeah, right.
Bricks, right? So I have a thing about bricks, right? you know that Clockwork Mining Core, Zaphos' homies, the posse are gonna have
this whole
mossy
thing is just
bricks, right?
It's just an advertising marketing strategy.
I know.
We're gonna have mossy bricks. We're gonna have battered old bricks. We're gonna have stone bricks. We're gonna have your modern bricks. You know what I mean? We're gonna have clay bricks. Hell,
all at low, crazy prices.
And low, crazy prices, right?
Little arm-waving things.
Man, the jelly bean bricks are coming. We're gonna have the bricks, okay? So the point is, how do we make money off the bricks? And that's where you guys come in, okay? On the Player Studio, you can buy those brick templates. And those bricks are going to build your castles, man. And they're going to be the best damn castles you've ever made, okay? So what I'm talking about is if devs, are got to give us an economy where we can build bricks, we can sell bricks, and make money from bricks. And that's what I'm talking about.
All right, what I was actually
referring to... in chats just said, let me guess, want to buy a brick mount?
Yeah, want to buy a brick mount.
Sold.
Solid brick mount. So it's a wall that travels.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think I've got a partner that's going to expand into nails.
Oh, and I'll do the planks. I'm Crazy Joe sitting up in the mountain somewhere selling planks.
You just wait. I'm going to corner the mortar market and just pull the whole thing out from underneath you.
And hay. I got all the hay for making the bricks. What I was talking about is they were talking at the Gamescom that you'll be able to claim a spot of land, build a house on it, and sell it on the Player Studio market as real estate. Like, oh, I've got this great beachside house here overlooking a cliff, and there's some lovely fire elementals that live on the beach, and I'm selling it all for just a measly 2 million platinum.
But that's it, isn't it? It's like it's not just about selling the house; it's about selling the land that it comes on.
Yep.
So there could eventually be in Landmark, especially early on, if it's all just kind of like horrible wasteland. If you go in there and just mold the terrain into something, a lot more palatable for players, I reckon you could turn some money doing that, just making places look a lot cooler, ready to build on rather than just being kind of blank canvases.
Imagine the cut that Sony's going to be able to take from somebody selling. We're just talking about EVE Online. Didn't somebody just destroy a $80,000 ship? Like it cost 80,000 real dollars. They took it out.
Yeah, it was
a lot.
Yeah, it's like because of the Plex system goes back to real money. I think they worked out it'd cost $8,000 or something. But it's the time investment as well. Like all those skills that you got to train and you got to do in the right order. You really have to commit to something like that, and then have it taken away from you is
exactly.
If nothing else, that's compelling gameplay.
It is.
I used to play. I've spent a fair amount of cash in EVE Online, and I've built player stations. I've day traded. I've built back when they were first come out. T3 ships back when that was cool. And I've done a lot of stuff there, and it was really interesting to play the market, to make a bunch of virtual money that was real dollar value, to lose some of that, to make it back again, to see that player economy. And those houses you're talking about on the beach, they take bricks, by the way.
Yeah.
But I think that
sand bricks.
Sand bricks, it's a different kind of brick. It's different from your jelly bean brick or your mossy brick, right? But I think that basically creating an economy that let me just put it this way: EVE Online employs a PhD economist to manage their economy.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Right?
So, no, I absolutely, 100% guarantee that, they do, right? This is a published fact. And what's really interesting is that guy and the team behind it have created a system that is almost as advanced as actual NASDAQ trading. I mean, it's very, very complex. I think it's more complex than it needs to be. I think it's part of the barrier to entry. It's too high. I think you need something a little more player friendly, without going down the disaster that was Diablo 3's real money auction house, because that's putting a complex system into a non-complex game, which is a recipe for disaster. But I think if you have a medium complexity game that has the ability to create a player-driven economy, having all those types of things is really, really cool. EVE Online has had some crazy stories. 50 grand lost here, 8 grand lost there. You get some guy that spends $400 on plexes, which are like an in-game, currency, and then gets blown out of the sky the second he leaves the hangar. That's the guy's hurting, right? And you have guild funds that are lost. So for me, I think you should be able to become a real estate tycoon. You should be able to sell those great spots, and I think that net, what's this all mean? Yes, specific areas of the game world should have actual value.
Yep, I think so too. All right, we're going to skip on to our next topic so we can get on to the question and answer stuff. So that was pretty good. All right, our next topic. What can EQNext developers do to prevent this game from dying due to MMOED syndrome?
How many hours do we have left?
ED
meaning early death, not the other ED that you're thinking of.
I was wondering. I was going to ask. I just wanted to be clear on that one point.
All right, Locke, what do you think?
Oh, God. I touched on it last week when I was talking about why I think World of Warcraft isn't as compelling as it was when it started. And I think I've talked about it, I've hinted at it a little bit today as well, talking about the white hot center and then the vast, the great dark beyond. And I think it comes down to aspiration. It comes down to, they're always being something else over that next hill, something that, that top 1%, like back in what raid was it in Warcraft that only the top 1%, of players actually ever managed to do.
Lich King?
And that, you know, no, this is going all the way back to vanilla, I think. But
molten core.
but it's that, and you know, I mean, that's like a lot of people said that was like a huge waste of development costs and everything. But I think the fact that only that tiny percentage of players managed to do it, I think probably generated a lot more revenue and kept a lot more people around. And the whole, like, you know, Raiden Saga through Burning Crusade, when it was really like, you know, you'd go and you'd look every day to see, has it gone down, and it, you know, they just didn't. And you know, even these top people, you know, that'd give them a challenge to like go at it, and everyone else would be watching, and then suddenly it'd go down, and it's like, wow, it's gone down, how did they do it? And then everyone else, you know, starts pushing towards it. But by this point, you know, the next cycle of content's already come. And I know that Everquest Next is going to work in a very different way. You know, they don't want you to be repeating content, but I think as long as there's always something for that, you know, for that big sort of middle group of players, you know, they need to look up to the real kind of hardcore players and go, wow, if only I had 8 hours a day to play this game, maybe I could do that too. If I practice really hard, you know, maybe I could be up there somewhere. And then, you know, that's that big middle group of players that aren't, you know, they're not the complete noobs, but they're not the super hardcore. And I think, you know, that big blob in the middle is sort of the hardest to maintain and the hardest to keep around. Because, you know, the hardcore people are going to stick around because they're hardcore. The noobs are going to stick around because it's all new to them, and it's, you know, it's really shiny and exciting, and it's their first MMO experience that, you know, we all remember how incredible that was, regardless of what game.
Right.
But, you know, it's that big blob in the middle, I think, always has to have something to reach for, something just out of reach.
What I was referring to with the early death syndrome, and you did touch on it, I just wanted to clarify because some people in the chat were asking about it. An MMO comes out, we'll use Star Wars The Old Republic as an example, okay? Excellent game, had amazing storytelling, it had win written all over it. You're talking about the Star Wars universe here, and it's just, it couldn't do anything wrong, right? And people joined into it, and within the first 20 or so levels, it was amazing, and then after that, it just, what were they thinking? And then it got worse and worse and worse, and then before long, gone. Like, everyone just said, I'm done with this, I'm not playing anymore. And that happens with many, many MMOs. You join up, you play the content for the first 20, 50, whatever levels, and you get bored of it because you've already done all the rides in the sand park or the theme park, and you're just done, and you just go away, and you never even get a second chance. Even if they say, wait, we were sorry, we fixed all those problems, it's really better now, you're never going to get those people back. So that's what I was referring to with the ED syndrome, early death syndrome, because it just dies a month after it comes out.
And as well, that's the thing, because those hardcore players rush to the end, and then they just steamroll through everything, go, oh, it's a waste of time, and leave, and then suddenly that big blob in the middle, you know, they've got nothing to look forward to, because they go, oh, so it's just easy, I'll just be able to, I'll carry on, I'll finish the story, and I'll do the raids, and then, you know, you're just done because there's nothing out of reach, and, you know, you end up like the new players stick around, which is fine, and, you know, they have a lot of fun and everything, but I don't think you can maintain a large player base without, you know, having something to reach for in that way.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about gear treadmill at all, by the way.
No,
like,
no, me either.
I'm not talking about like carrot on a stick, like out of reach. I'm talking about challenges to overcome.
Yeah. What do you think, Zaphos?
Oh, I think a lot.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you for free.
Go ahead.
Charge him.
Let it rip.
You know, when you create a finite system, it inevitably ends.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer is don't create a finite system. So what I mean by that, what we have today in a lot of games is a finite system. Take, for example, you go to your Seven Flags, your Great America, your Disneyland, whatever. You have a set number of rides that you can jump on, and until the developers create a new one, you're shit out of luck. You got nothing to do.
Right. And
what I would like to see, you know, think back to when you were a kid, when you were playing with toy soldiers, when you were playing, you know, in my case, being a really old dude, you know, when you were playing, you know,
Lincoln Logs.
Like, that was way before my time. I was way before.
Back in my day.
Like, that's right. So, you know, when you were playing Indians and train robbers and all sorts of shit, cowboys and Indians, right?
Right.
I played cowboys and Indians. You know, you never run out of things to do. You always found a way. Even if it was beating up the kid next door, you always found something to do, right? I
That's
mean,
the PKers.
Yeah.
you know, we all go through that phase. You know, but I mean, what I'm saying is, don't create systems that are dependent upon developer content,
Right.
because when you do, that content gets destroyed. And in today's age of YouTube videos, of Twitch TV, you don't need to play the game anymore to deliver, to devour that content. You can watch somebody else who plays 12 hours a day devour that content, and therefore you no longer need to do it. Mm-hmm. It's just the way it is. So what you want to do is create a system that allows you to tell your story. And what you'll find is that player stories never end. They continue forever. They keep going because players will continue to reinvent themselves, reinvent the stories they want to experience, and do it in groups, do it solo, and do it in all kinds of ways. And it comes back to the concept of a sandbox. Give a player the tools to tell their own story, and they'll never run out of ideas. Give them ideas of the developers, tell them how to play the game, tell them how to have fun, and eventually they'll get bored. And that's just the nature of the beast. So you've got to pick your poison. You want to create content every 3 months and have players devour it, or you want to give the players a tool to create their own content and last forever. Mm-hmm. The choice is yours.
Totally agree. Who's got a cat? All right, so the stream froze up, but you guys can hear the audio okay? We are going to upload this video to YouTube, so when it's on YouTube, it's going to be perfect because I'm actually recording it on my computer, so it won't have this problem. I really apologize, everybody, for the stream issues we're having tonight. No idea why it's doing that, but whatever. All right, so
I wore my special T-shirt and everything.
Yeah, Locke's got a great T-shirt tonight, and he can't see it.
It's okay. I'm wearing the Green Lantern. I got everybody covered.
Yeah, I'm wearing AC/DC. Yeah. Okay, so our question and answers. Locke? Do you have the list?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's get started with it.
Q&A. Question the first. I'm sorry I don't have the names of the people that asked them. Do you guys have anything epic planned for Landmark? I've got a crew willing to help with that empire. I assume by that empire means the Clockwork Empire.
Or the bricks.
Anything epic planned for Landmark? Especially Zaphos after they reveal that there will be a full economy in Landmark. It's not just going to be gathering stuff for yourself.
Yeah, so I think I have to comment.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely there's going to be epicness abounding in terms of what we do in Landmark. I will be looking for a crew to build some really cool stuff, and damn, that's one hell of a Twitch delay. But by the way, yeah, so I will be really looking forward to that. I'm looking to put a good crew together. I want to buy a whole bunch of plots or earn a whole bunch of plots. We're going to build a bunch of stuff. The entry price is very low. It's just a certain number of bricks. But, you know, very much so, I think that's going to be something that's really cool. I like the whole concept of co-op building. I think that's going to be where the coolest things exist in Landmark. So.
All right.
I think, Domo, what do you reckon? Are you going to go for anything big? I know that you're planning on doing some machinima stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do machinima. I'm going to build my own like little movie set, and I'm going to record like a newscast there with my Froglock character.
Awesome.
It's going to be fun. If we have Froglocks. We don't know if we have Froglocks yet. But I'm going to...
I guess so.
Some kind of...
So I was going to say you'd probably need like extras and other people to come and play characters and things.
Definitely. We'll get when that time gets close. We'll definitely do it because I'm going to have a ball doing that. And then of course I'm going to be Captain Stinky up in the hills selling really rare items that I find. I'm going to be in a cave with a beard, just sitting there like half naked all day long.
It's nice. Sounds like my work day.
Yes.
Awesome. Should we go to the next question? Yep. Let's see. Oh, this is interesting. What classes, other than the Paladin Shadow Knight, do you think might go down separate paths? For example, if I become a Necromancer, what other classes might be locked out for me? Now, if I may, I think this question is probably phrased incorrectly. I think the whole idea of being locked out of being a Paladin is not because you're a Shadow Knight, it's because of choices that you've made. So perhaps if you make certain choices, you could become a Shadow Knight or a Necromancer, but because of those choices, you couldn't be a Paladin or a Priest or a Monk, maybe, depending on what classes there are. Domo, any thoughts? Do you agree?
Well, I'm just wondering, like, is your player reputation through Storybricks. You know, some people might be watching now and don't know what we're talking about, but Storybricks is going to kind of keep a running tab on what your character's been doing the entire time you've been playing. So you interact with a certain NPC one way, and the next day you come back after you've murdered a family of little dwarf babies, and you come back, they're not going to be so friendly with you anymore, right? So that's kind of... So if that happens, then you go to the paladin trainer. I want to be a paladin. You just killed a bunch of dwarf babies. You cannot be a paladin. But we have this really friendly guy over here who's a Shadow Knight guy, and he would be happy to take you. I think what they're asking is, can you be both? Can you turn on the paladin character and then somehow switch over to the Shadow Knight character and be both on the same exact character? With this multi-class, and they sort of insinuated that you can, but is that the way it's going to really go down?
I don't know. How do you think players would react to having classes taken away from them if they didn't behave properly?
Right,
Zaphos kind of comes in. You've gone one way and then the other. What do you think about having a class taken away from you?
I think it's great. I think it should be the way it is, right? I mean, we should have some kind of alignment system from traditional D&D. There's a good reason why it was there, because it allowed players to define who they are. It was part of telling their story. I'm chaotic neutral, so sometimes I'll mess your shit up, and other times I'll help you save the maiden, right? You know, it's I'm lawful good. I will never deviate from the rules. I'm chaotic, evil, whatever the hell it was, I will basically destroy the world, right? I mean, I think that allowing players to identify themselves in specific roles is critical to a player being able to tell their story. Giving players the tools to be bad, giving players the tools to be good, and everything in between is critical. And with that should come consequence, because consequence gives meaning and impact to those decisions, because a lot of players will intentionally want to be bad asses, right? They want to help the orcs or whatever. And the more that that's possible within the game, the more that players will be able to define their own story. And the more that those interactions between players will become really, really important. If you have a player that's done everything by the book, they saved the maiden, they killed the orcs, they repelled the invaders, they built the city, they wrote the book, they were the iconic hero. What happens when they meet with the player that was the original badass that didn't give a crap about anybody but himself and killed whoever got in his way? Those roles should be able to mix and have consequence and have interaction that is appropriate for their own story. And so I think from that point of view, I hope there's major consequences to it. I think that classes should be locked out. I don't think that you should be able to play a paladin, for example, if you've spent the first 20 days of your gameplay killing dwarf babies, right? I mean, I'm just saying, right? And I think that the dev said there was something called the Row Song or something like that, this book, the Row Song, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a great way to chronicle your story. So it plays into the whole sandbox element of you're telling your story, and this becomes your book. And you can, flick through the pages of your history. And I think that that should be a changeable marker. You go from good to neutral to bad to really bad, so you're going to burn in hell, back to being neutral. I think of the movie Solomon Kane. I don't know if any of you guys ever saw that movie. It's a really cool movie from the creators of Conan. And Solomon Kane goes through these, iterations of being a killer, a pirate, a hero, a killer, and being able to tell that story, I think, and have consequences attached to it is really important. I want to be like I was in Ultima Online. Started out a miner, went to a player killer warrior, changed to a mage. I want to be able to say I did a lot of bad things in my life, and so I'm bad. I'm a necromancer, or I'm a evil cleric, or whatever. And now I've done a lot of good things in my life, and I have the chance to earn the right to be a paladin. But those things should be mutually exclusive.
Yeah, I was reading the chat, and everyone pretty much agrees that Dave Grolson or Georgeson said that it's going to be, you're going to have consequences. So you can't be a paladin and a Shadow Knight at the same time, but you can redeem yourself if you decide that I don't want to kill dwarf babies anymore. I'm going to move on and go help the nuns out of the church. Then
right.
You can go back to being, you can do a paladin. All right, what's the next one there, Locke? We should keep moving.
Next one says there has been a lot of speculation about respawn of raid-type bosses, or if you kill them once, is that particular boss gone forever, much like Waking the Sleeper in EQ1? Any thoughts? Do we want to see large raid type bosses respawning, or just down once and then gone forever?
That's the whole theme park thing. You know, if it's a theme park, then it's going to be there every single time. Every single week you go in, you kill the same guy over again. I think there should be some repeatable things, but I would love it if they just had, you know, some crazy guy show up and you kill him once and he's gone. But he was really hard to kill. What do you think, Zaphos?
Well, you know, I've had a lot of experience with this, and I don't like it when bosses respawn because it breaks immersion. Mm-hmm. You know, when you kill that sumbitch, you should be dead, right? Right. You know, you've got to draw a line in the sand and say, what kind of game are you creating? Are you creating a game where consequences matter? And if consequences is part of the game, if emergent AI is part of the game, then when you kill that guy, then the guy should be dead, right? But okay. So people are going to get upset because they want to experience that same kind of content. So here's my idea. You know, let's say you kill the Orc King. I had this debate in Twitter recently. You want to kill the Orc King. Okay, you kill the Orc King. The Orc King was a warrior. He had a sword, he had a shield, he was a badass, he was hard to take down, he dropped a certain kind of loot, and, you know, because he was a warrior, he handled his troops in a certain kind of way. And so the orcs in that region behaved in a certain kind of way under his leadership. Mm-hmm. And maybe this is way out of line in terms of the capable AI, but let's just assume for a second. Okay. Now let's assume you kill that Orc King. You go into Crushbone, maybe he's there, you take him down. Maybe for a period of player weeks, there is no Orc King. The orcs are in disarray. They're not doing raids. They're not, you know, assaulting people on the lonely roads. They're just not really there. And players have a chance to move in and expand their territory. But let's say a couple of weeks later, the orcs get together and nominate a new king. And that king happens to be a necromancer. Okay. How does that change the way that the encounters take place, the orcs rally themselves, the orcs handle themselves? Maybe that's too subtle for a game, but what I'm really saying is I think it's okay that named monsters get killed and stay dead, but I think it's really cool to reinvent those monsters in a different way and keep reiterating on that.
Great. Totally agree. What do you think, Derek?
Yeah, that sounds great. I will go back to the quote from David Georgeson, who said, you know, we don't want you to ever repeat the same content again. So, and I know that in the underground areas and stuff, where I assume a lot of the most dangerous things are happening, I know that, you know, caverns are going to be collapsing and opening up again. But, you know, they never want you to see the same thing again after you've seen it once. So I think we won't see like respawns. It won't be like he's dead and then 10 minutes later they pop back up for the next lot. But I do think Zaphos is probably on the right track, thinking about, you know, after a certain amount of time. Like, remember, like with the AI and everything, maybe if the players push forward and push the orcs out of an area, maybe if the orcs take enough ground back again, that's the point where, you know, they nominate a new king because he's the warlord that's allowed them to like drive it back. So maybe it's a product of the AI that the orcs are a large enough force and well organized enough to warrant having this like big bad raid boss. Mm-hmm. You know, and then, you know, that adds into, you know, going out into the frontier, like always pushing against, like seeing what's out there, you know, going into these incredibly hostile areas and trying to tame them, and, you know, not having enough players to cover all areas, and there always being these areas that are very, very hostile, and maybe that's how the content sort of moves around the world. And that's just a thought. I mean, I have no idea if that's how it's going to work.
If I could just chime in, because I see a little bit of thing going on in chat. So I think there should be tiers of monsters, tiers of enemies. You got your regular just Joe Blow orc who gets killed, nobody gives a shit, or nobody cares. You know, it doesn't matter. It's just an orc. It's orc number 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you have your sort of semi-rare monsters, you know, like you have your Orc Lord or you have your Orc Mage. You know, that's okay. Those guys, nobody cares if they just die over and over again. But then you maybe have your Orc Boss. Maybe he's a regional boss, right? And you kill him once, and maybe he disappears forever, literally never comes back. And then maybe you have the overlord of all the orcs in the universe that is a named Nagafan type, you know, boss. And maybe that boss reinvents itself over time so that other players can experience that encounter. I would love if every boss in the universe died and stayed dead forever, but But I think in a modern MMO, we have to accommodate players who want to experience that, but at the same time perpetuate the story element, perpetuate the sandbox element. So I think you've got to reach some kind of a compromise where reinventing a major monster is okay, but killing off other ones is the norm.
Yeah, so I think I agree. You know, if you want to create a compelling story, I think you have to have certain evil characters that persist for long enough, you know, to make them like real movers and shakers, you know, in the world, and you know, to make them important. And you know, when they go down, that should be, you know, the really big thing. You know, the end of the rallying call to finally take down the big nasty. Right. Anyway, we'll move on. We could talk. God,
move on. That's next week's show.
Yeah, next week's show.
Next question. We'll try and keep this quick. Do you think they should have racial gear? Domo, what do you reckon?
Absolutely. I think even Georgeson said it in either one of the interviews I watched or whatever. Or maybe it wasn't even Georgeson. It was one of the other devs. Said that they want you to be walking down a road and you see somebody coming at you and you instantly go, "That's an elf." Well, how do you know it's an elf? Because he's wearing elven armor, you know. And they want to be able. You should be able just to look at somebody and just immediately go, "Oh, I know what race they are from the way they're standing, the gear that they're wearing, or whatever." So yeah, I'm all for racial. I think it really fits the lore, and there's no reason that dwarves shouldn't have their stout little dwarven gear, and the elves should have something very flowy and majestic looking.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for variety. Zaphos, what do you reckon?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. You know, racial gear, go questing, find different bits of components, find different bits of resources, trade them with other races in order that they can build their racial gear. Player economy, I like it.
But they didn't say that. Oh, I was just saying in chat, somebody did say that they didn't say it was only that race that could wear that gear, so you probably will be able to buy an elven chest piece or something. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, it'd be great. I mean, you know, have lots of different styles, have different styles that fit into the lore of certain races. Maybe, you know, different materials that need to be gone. You know, maybe materials that are found around their home cities a lot. You know what I mean? Would be incorporated, because that would obviously be what their kind of culture would be founded around, perhaps. But I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be limited to the specific race. I think, you know, the materials and the styles should be universal.
Speaking of it, go off on a tangent just for a real quick second here. Just think about the role-playing a dwarf. I mean, you could go underground and build your whole like house and everything down there, and it would be totally something you'd never be able to do in any other kind of game. Even if you, like other games that had player housing, you always had to have whatever they had on the surface. But a dwarf would be really comfortable underground, and I think it would be really cool. Or gnomes with like some sort of steampunk clockwork stuff that they can build in their area.
It'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Diggy hole. I mean, that's what I'm planning on for Landmark. Me and a couple of buddies are making a dwarven steakhouse.
Nice.
And the idea is, you know, on top it's kind of, you know, it's built into the rock, and it's a little bit, you know, like a metal version of the Shire. You know what I mean? Just the kind of doorway, and it looks very sort of very humble outside with empty barrels and everything. And you go in, and there's dark, low ceilings. But as soon as you go down the stairs, it's like this very grand hall, like you know, like a big Viking sort of beer hall kind of thing, but just underground. And that's what, you know, that's what I'm going to be doing. You guys carry on with your big projects. I don't care. I just want a steak.
Hey man, brother.
Next question. This is a big. I could talk about this one for hours. What about a system of law in Everquest Next? Say you want to PvP random people, but if you get caught by a guard, you get tossed in jail for X amount of time, and say lose gear or money and have to try and escape or do your time. Big question. Has anyone got a big answer?
Haven't even thought about that yet.
Oh god, I've been going on about this non-stop.
All right, then it's your question. Then go for it.
God, yeah. System of law. I think it ties in, you know, just as much with a player economy. There needs to be, you know, contracts. There needs to be, you know, transactions between players, and you know, the mechanics need to exist for that. And you know, it was what I was talking about last week with having kind of different groups and things. You know, maybe less permanent the guilds, or you know, like different ways for players to organize themselves into different things. So, you know, you have your little trading group, which is part of a larger, you know, trading union perhaps, or you know, maybe like you could have a shop, or you could start like, you know, you could start a steakhouse, and you know, a group of you could be in together and work in a restaurant. But as part of that, you know, if you're doing a job for someone, you know, I want people to be able to go, I'm going to pay X amount of gold for someone that can do this job for me, whether, you know, collecting bounty, escorting materials. You know, I'm looking for caravan guards, and I'm going to pay you this much money. And, you know, you should go and you should sign that contract, and that should put you in that caravan group, and it should put you in the guard group, and you should go along. And then, you know, if that caravan gets there safely and the parameters of the job are fulfilled, you know, then, you know, that other player's under contract to pay you. And I think, you know, as you go further and further away from the population centres, that should matter less and less, because, you know, there's less guards around, you know, there's no one there to enforce it, there aren't witnesses and things. But I think, you know, it ties into the idea of player economy and player interaction so well, that you're not just saying, you know, you're not just saying, I need X class for Y dungeon. You're saying, I need someone who can do this job for me. And, you know, we're going to make that contract, and that's going to be, you know, how we form our raid group, like using these contracts and using the economy to prop it up. That's the short version. I could talk about that for hours. Zaphos, I know economy is very important to you. What do you think of how that would affect the way money moves?
Yeah, I mean, I think having some kind of lore consequences is really, really important. You know, I still remember back in the days of Ultimate Online pickpocketing people in town and getting killed by the guards. It was a risk I was willing to take, and it paid off handsomely for most of the time. You know, I think having those kinds of consequences is really, really good. So, yeah, absolutely. I think you said it the best. I don't have much to add to that.
Yeah.
Cool. I do think about it a lot. I think it's another thing. You know, it puts the RP back in the RPG. You know, if you want to be a bounty hunter, if you want to be a scout, you know, you can do that, and that, you know, you can define yourself as that and look for work and offer your services. And then maybe, you know, if you make enough money, maybe you can start demanding higher prices. Maybe you can hire your own little group, so you can offer your services as like a ready, complete group, rather than as an individual. And, you know, maybe then you can grow out from that and build your own little mini empire of, you know, caravan guards. I think something like that would be incredible in a game. Obviously, not saying, you know, it's going to happen like that, but I would like it. Yeah. Domo, do you have any thoughts to add?
No, you guys are doing great.
Fantastic. Let's go. Another question. Do you think arena-type MOBA battles might be a good endgame draw?
Oh, I think they're definitely shooting towards the MOBA audience. For those who are not familiar, they're talking about killing off the Trinity, and that's got some people upset. But the MOBA whole MOBA thing is such a new genre. You know, it really only took off with, well, Heroes of North. I think it was the first game that did it, and then Dota, and then Dota 2, and League of Legends. All these MOBA games are fantastic to watch, but they're also a ton of fun to play, and you can get into them at any level. You can be a complete noob and enjoy the crap out of them. And I would love to see some sort of EverQuest Next MOBA type of combat. I think having an arena set up like that where they could do structured PvP or WVW or whatever would be awesome.
Zaphos, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'll be very honest. I'm not a big fan. I really don't care for it. I mean, I do like it. I suck at it, and you know, I just I think in a sandbox game it has its place. I like to see it integrated in the world. I think there could be some really cool stuff. It all depends how they pull it off, whether it feels disjointed or integrated. If it feels integrated, then it's really cool. If it has consequences, if it's part of the player economy, if it's part of the player equity, et cetera, then great. If it's just this kind of latched-on thing, I don't like that. You
don't think it would be fun to like have it be sort of some place that the PvPers that are hardcore PvPers have an outlet? Because most of the people are really upset that so far we haven't heard anything about PvP. And
I'd like to see a PvP server.
Just a straight up PvP server?
Yeah, like old style EQ1. You know, PvP server. It latches into those lore systems, to the racial systems, to the decision systems, alignment systems, and allows you to PvP that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'd like to see?
What's that?
I'm glad you asked. I would like to see gladiatorial arenas built in EverQuest Landmark and then built in lawless areas of the world of EverQuest Next that then people can go to watch the matches live and bet on them.
You're thinking
and
like
sell their wares to the competitors, and have crafters sending people out on the slides. So certain like ex-gladiator uses crafter wise armor in every in every match, and like you have you can have all sorts of different rule sets because it's all made in Landmark, and it doesn't have to be balanced, and it doesn't have to be fair, and it can be silly, and there can be stupid traps that are just an absolute ball ache to play on, but it should be incredibly fun to watch. And I think as well as that, you could have like just straight up one versus one, or the way that the game is set up, have have that kind of in MOBAs where they do like the single lane, and you just have that single lane like 5-on-5, like build like the best 5-on-5 team you possibly can. And remember, that's 40 classes, 2 weapon sets per class. You've got 4 skills that are totally customizable with all your gear and everything. The amount, I mean, of course there'll be flavor of the month compositions, but there will always be a counter.
Yes.
To say that. So I think that's something that Landmark could be incredibly useful for. And if nothing else, let's just play it in Landmark. If it can't make it into the main game,
we'll just do
I'm sure someone will do it in Landmark. I'd love that.
How many more do we have left?
I've got no more that have been sent to me.
Okay.
I know people have been chucking them out in the chat. I haven't had a chance to take any notes. Are you guys good to carry on for more questions?
We can. I was thinking of wrapping it up pretty soon because last week we went a little long. Everyone was saying that they loved the episode, but it was too long. So
yeah, I gotta take a real quick AFK if we're gonna go longer, but
okay. Yeah, you want to take a couple-minute break, and we'll see if a couple more questions come in?
Yep, take a couple-minute break, and then we'll check back for any last-minute questions and wrap it up from there.
Sounds good. Okay, go ahead and write your questions, everybody. Just put your questions in the brackets, and we'll be back in a couple minutes, all right? Hang loose.
Doodles.
Okay. Oh, well, we've had a bunch of cock-ups, right?
It's been the technical issues.
Oh, it's technical tonight. I'm gonna between this week and next week, I'm gonna install that new router, and I'm also gonna do the that other thing. And I'm gonna get it to where I can stream at frickin' 8K. I mean 8 mega, because I can. I mean, I've got the bandwidth. I spend like $150 a month on this thing.
I don't know what's going on with my camera and Skype as well. I mean, it's sold as like, it says on the box that it's great with Skype. I'm like, it was so great. Why is it crashing every time?
Yeah, right.
It's annoying. That last time I had like nothing else running as well, so I don't know. The mics are still live on the thing. Behind the scenes. Everquest Next. Hey, at least guys, you guys know that we care.
Oops.
Still on.
Why is it still on? I thought I had my mic mute. Oh, I see. I have the mic on. Ah. Oh, well. Maybe want us to sing him a song?
That's well better, isn't it? Talking about messing up on the episode.
Yeah, right. Alright, hold on. All right, let's get back to the show.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! All right, everybody. So we're coming back. We're gonna do a quick. We got 10 minutes. We're gonna do a quick as many of these questions as we can. A lot of questions, a lot of great questions, but we're running out of time. So we'll just do this real quick and get to them as best we can. All right.
Some of these might end up as topics for next week, depending on what happens at PAX. Anyway, okay, so questions. Let's go.
Well, real quick, though, everybody, make sure you check out EQNexus.com. They're our sponsors, and they have a great community over there. You're more than welcome to bring up all these questions over there on the forums, and you can chat with those guys over there. Not this week coming up, but one of the future episodes, we are going to have a Q&A like mailbag show where you guys can write in, and we're going to just cover every single question that's either you post on the forums or you write in. We'll set that up in the next show. We'll talk about that. And we are going to be having some devs and writers and things like that coming on the show at some point in the future as soon as we get that set up. So stay tuned for the good stuff. We'll hopefully get these technical glitches fixed and it won't be as bad. All right, so real quick, rapid fire these questions. Let's go through it, Lock.
Wunderbar. Thoughts on maps and cartography, GPS tracking and minimaps?
Hate it.
You hate the idea of having minimaps?
Yep, I do. Absolutely. Because you know what you end up doing is you're doing a quest and you got this little bing bing going off in the corner and you just end up running at that. You're not paying attention to anything else is going on. You're looking at that arrow, which is telling you to go at that little dot, and that's all you're looking at. And as long as you aren't falling in a big hole with like lava or something like that, you're not paying any attention. You're just looking at that dot. And I kind of want to just go back. Maybe I'm just wishing, but I want to kind of go back to the whole, maybe something like a general, like go that direction kind of thing. But other than that, not down to the GPS marker.
Zaphos, any thoughts on GPS?
Yeah. I mean, we'll give you a free map with every order of bricks.
Yeah,
but I mean,
Zaphos map works.
But besides that, I totally get what Domo's saying. I feel those days. I understand those days. Let me max out my sense heading by binding it to my W key. What the hell? I mean, I love those days, and I miss those days dearly. But I think in the interest of making a successful game, there's going to have to be some kind of compromise because I just don't see a world without maps. That's my personal opinion, and I think there is a way to protect what Domo is looking for, while at the same time still providing an integrated system that allows you to map the world and to see the world that you're in.
What about a cartography skill? Like you just
I mean, something like that. Again, I'm all for risk versus reward. If you want to actually put the effort into becoming capable in that area. I mean, I remember ultimately, there were things like that in other games. There's the ability to sell maps. I think if you can build that as a skill, that'd be really cool, and sell those maps and, have that be a viable skill for you that you can make player economy driven money from. That'd be really, really cool. Maybe those can be a slightly more advanced version of a basic map that comes with the basic player skill.
It can be done. I play DayZ all the time, and you're loving life when you find a compass. Just like, oh my god, I found a compass and a map is just. But the map doesn't tell you where you are. You have to still figure out using landmarks. Okay, I'm between these two railroad stations. I must be right here, and then you look at the compass and. Yeah, it can still be done, and you still have a fun time playing it. They have to take this hand-holding thing out.
Yeah, I think, just before Locke, you chime in, I know that the devs have said that they want to get away from this concept of external third-party websites being the method by which you learn the game. So I do think there'll be a balance, but I absolutely get what you're saying. It should absolutely be an integral part of the player journey, So.
All right. What do you got, Locke?
Well, I know that they have touched on maps, and they said they've had to come up with a new sort of system. So I'm looking forward to seeing about that. As far as GPS tracking goes, personally, I absolutely hate it. I think it has no place in MMOs whatsoever. And as far as mini maps, I know that they're very passionate about getting people to look at the game rather than the UI. And I find that, with mini-maps, a lot of the time, when you're moving around the world, you're looking at the mini-map, and then when you fight, you're looking at your hotbar. So, you never have that point of actually having to look at what's in front of you. And, if you have to just look and take in some landmarks, I think that would be a huge boost to the game. Let's move on anyway. Do you guys think they will add a Minecraft-type redstone system into Landmark.
Redstone as in what?
You know, in Minecraft, so you can make like machines and things, and you can make like automatic switches and things of that nature.
I think we have to go to the gnomes for that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just chime in. Yeah, absolutely. I think there absolutely should be. You know, Redstone is one of the greatest, most innovative systems in Minecraft because it allows for almost unparalleled player intelligence and player contribution. You can build a working computer. I mean, you literally can do that. So, I mean, I think there probably will be some limitations, but at the same time, you know, gnomes are highly inventive. Dwarves are not too shabby either. You know, they have some of their own rudimentary systems. I think being able to build traps and being able to build, you know, automated systems is a really good idea. I don't expect it, nor do I think it should be in the initial game. I think it should be something that is uncovered. It could even be something that is uncovered potentially by rallying calls on a server-by-server basis.
Okay.
So.
That'd be cool. I think it has to be in, doesn't it? Really, in Landmark, they can't release a game that can be so easily compared to Minecraft without, you know, having that same level of functionality attached to it. At least, you know, long term.
Yeah.
So we move on.
Yeah, I got one more question. We're actually out of time, so we'll do one more.
Okay, I will do the next one in the order that I got them. Thank you so much, everyone, for all the great questions. There's some really good stuff. We have an incredibly loaded question here. What are your thoughts about SOE using indie software devs like Storybricks and the unproven voxel engine only developed by a single man? Someone's got a problem with Voxel Farm, obviously.
Well, there's one single man I want to bring up. He does something nearby here. His name was Tesla. And by himself, he created all the power that we're using tonight in this room. So, a single man, I don't care. I think somebody who's a genius is a genius, and it works, and it works. And it doesn't matter that one person developed it or 1,000 people developed it. If it works, it works. And Storybricks has a team, but the Voxel, or the Voxel Jungle, Voxel Farm. Why do I keep calling it a jungle? I don't know. But the Voxel Farm is amazing. It just really is. So, go ahead there, Zaphos. What do you think?
Indie developers?
Yeah, I'm all for indie developers. I mean, I think when you're developing an open game, quote unquote, a sandbox game, a game that is also going to have community involvement. I mean, screw you guys. I'm going to be making the best bricks. I'm going to be making the best buildings from the best bricks, and those buildings are going to be in EQNext. I mean, it's inevitable, right? So I'm just one guy, but look at me. I'm a genius, right? So I mean, I think there's guys out there that can do this kind of thing. You know, the guy that created Cube World was one guy, and then he involved his wife to do a little art direction, and they created a game that was phenomenal. It was so popular it crashed all of their servers for weeks on end when the game was available to the public. And I think, why did it crash all the servers? Why was Cube World so popular? Because it's a voxel-based, procedurally driven, you know, you tell your story type of RPG. And when you take that to the level of a AAA title like EQNext, combined with Minecraft elements, combined with great and amazing, you know, cutting-edge developers that Storybricks has, you know, people who are really taking the concept of artificial intelligence in gaming to a whole new level. That can be used not only in games but in business, and in, you know, it potentially could be used in, you know, medicine, all sorts of things. I think gamification is something that's really huge in the world today, and so I mean, I think there's a huge open landscape there, and I think that it's the small indie developers that are focusing on these niches that allows something like Sony to bring all those niches together to create a huge vision, and that's what's really exciting.
All right, I think we have to stop. I know everyone's saying one more question, but I think we have to stop because it's already, we did a 2-hour show, including all of the cock-ups there in the beginning. So I do appreciate everybody for coming out tonight, and really great questions and some really great comments. You guys are what make this show really work, and we will be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Hopefully I'll have my stuff figured out here. And we'll get Locke's camera working. And yeah.
I'll have a word with it.
Yeah, we're going to see about having a guest next week, too. So we're going to work on that. And we'll let you know what it is. Just keep an eye on the Twitter. Make sure everybody follows this Twitch stream, because we maybe be doing some streams through the week. Who knows? But follow the show. follow the stream, and sub it up. And then also go over to EQNexus.com is where you're going to be able to continue the conversation over there on the great forums and the great community that they have over in that spot.
And
Awesome,
if you want to
guys.
ask any of us like a specific question, you can hit us up on Twitter. We're all really active as well, and I like talking to people. I know the guys do.
We try to get the best stuff out we can with 140 characters. So there's our Twitter addresses right below our name. It's been there the whole show. We will also have this show available as a audio only podcast, because that has been something everybody's been requesting, because they like to listen to it while they're jogging. I don't know. I can't believe that people who play MMOs actually exercise, but But yeah, so we're going to make sure that we have this as available for audio only too, and the links for that will be on the EQNexus website. All right.
Awesome, guys. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Good night. Great show.
Cheers.
Thanks, fellas. See you soon.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.